All right, action. We're back.
Yeah, we're running now. We're with Chris Davis that runs a nostalgia Nitro Funny Car, and he's going to go through front to back on what this is and how they operate. Hey, Chris.
Morning, everybody. Welcome here, Bakersfield, California, one of the premier tracks in the world. Just high echelon with all racers. They have all forms of racing here: funny cars, dragsters, blown alcohol, door cars, anything you want. If you haven't been here, you need to come here. And believe me, you'll continue to come back. It's just a spectacle, just a huge spectacle. And if you even have something you've built, there's a class for you. You can come out here and enjoy some drag racing yourself. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this car here. This is actually what you would call big show car that after they get a year or two on them, they kind of cycle them out. And a lot of them end up in the nostalgia top fuel ranks. Fantastic cars, ultra high precision crafted, built by the best builders in the country. So it's really good that, you know, you can get your hands on one still. Starting with the fuel tank, huge, yeah. 15 gallons of fuel in here through our run, and that's a fraction of it. The tank is actually cut down for this class because you just don't need as much as the big show guys. 4 gallons of oil, and the thing's kind of thirsty. She gets about 10 gallons to the quarter mile. So yeah, and it's volatile, so you got to pay attention, be real careful. You know, nitro is, you know, it can go south quick. You know, now if we're moving up into this area of the car, you'll see it looks fairly busy. Right here we have some ignition controls and just coil, etc. But in this box is a very important part of the car. It's called the Leahy system. And what it does is a safety device. So if the car has a problem, oil pressure, burn a piston, there's a handful of things. It sends a signal, it monitors the motor, and it will shut the fuel off, throw the parachutes, and get the car shut off. You know, because if you have a problem in one of these things, you got a handful. And it just happens. So that, I feel, is a great product, and it'll save your motor. You know, we burned a piston last year here at the reunion about 1,000 feet, triggered the pan pressure switch, shut the motor off. Just as I'm reaching for the parachutes, I'm like, what the heck? Found the problem. If it would have went another 200-300 feet, it'd just put a hole right in the side of the engine block. So safety, I feel, is paramount, and something everyone should take into consideration racing whatever level of race car you have. Now we're going to move to the supercharger. This is what kind of makes the supercharger and the fuel pump kind of supposedly create a little parity in this class. 671, highly modified. It's not your average 671 GMC blower. They're designed for running nitro, big boost, and then the fuel pump alone, it's 20 gallons a minute. And the thing about that is supposed to create parity. So everyone has to have the same GPMs at their fuel pump. So that kind of limits how hard you can lean on it, because you could get a little too lean, get it a little too hot, and you'll just burn it up.
Now, how much horsepower are you running on this motor?
It makes an honest 5,000 horsepower.
So 5,000 horsepower and 8 cylinders, that's a little over 600 horsepower per cylinder. That nitro is creating some energy.
Certainly is, and that's why you run low compression, and you're just pumping it in there as much as you can, because the nitro will run on detonation. And that's one of the best ways to get it lit. And the thing about it is, that's why this motor is basically the same motor as the cars you see on TV running 300 miles an hour. They just are able to pump more of it into it, where they limit us, you know, for the nostalgia reason. Keep the class, you know, create some parity. Does it work? Well, the rich guys are always going to find the trick. Imagine that.
Yeah, it's all about money.
It can be.
Yeah.
Can be. Now we're moving on to the clutch transmission. We run a Lenco 2-speed with the east-west clutch. East-west has been really good to us, and getting your clutch combination is critical because you have so many parameters. You get a good running motor, you got a soft clutch, you can just chase it and chase it and chase it. So my buddy Big Jeff and I, over the years, him especially, has come up with a fantastic clutch combination, and that's his baby. He makes sure this car goes down the track. Okay, to the tires. Same as the big show cars, very similar A little bit lighter wheel because we're not running 300, but having Goodyear on site is pretty good. I mean, just fantastic, really, because everyone knows how getting product could be, and could come damaged, you're missing one, doesn't get there on time, and for those guys to show up and have their truck and trailer and be providing the services to the racers, I mean, it's really means a lot to everybody here, because it can be a difficult game trying to get tires.
Right.
Yeah, so that was great of those guys to show up. To the back of the car. Looks like a whole lot going on here. Well, there is. This is actually oil containment. If the motor decides it's going to burn a piston, it discharges blown oil, literally, because it's blowing oil inside of that motor like crazy, So you got a piston putting pressure in the pan, spitting oil out the breathers. It goes up the frame rail and into this containment tank.
So it's coming up, you're using the frame rail as a channel for all that.
Correct. And what that does is obviously keeps oil off the track, keeps oil off the driver and the headers, which in the past has led to some very heavy, engine fires. So another safety for sure. Safety. 2 20-pound fire bottles, DJ, cold fire, mandatory. But without a doubt, I was in Seattle, going through the lights 2 years ago, broke a camshaft, 250 miles an hour, and I was on fire. I mean, inferno. And without these safety bottles, I'm not so sure I'd be here. I burned up everything, all my clothes, everything, came unscathed with a blister on my thumb.
Wow.
So that's a testament to the safety products you buy. Can complain how much you want of what they cost, et cetera, et cetera. You got to protect yourself in something like this.
Well, in this game, you also have to control your emotions, it sounds like, a little bit. You can't be a fearful kind of guy, right?
You got to be level-headed. When you get in that car, you got to change. You got to do your job.
Yeah.
Because you got a lot of people, your friends and family, that are here helping you, relying on you to perform, because we're all a team here. We're trying to, we're going for greatness.
Right.
Right.
Awesome. And then we have the body.
Let's move to the body. After the fire, we have a 77 Plymouth Arrow body, pretty iconic body in the nostalgia drag racing. A little heavy because it was older, and we'd always kind of been wanting a new body, but they're ridiculously expensive, let alone like this particular body is carbon fiber. So we shaved off a couple 100 pounds, and anybody who knows anything about racing, weight will just, you shed some weight, you're just going to go faster.
Yeah.
Period. Let alone a couple 100 pounds, because we were 140 plus pounds, 150 overweight. So now we had to add a little weight to the car after taking weight away. So we're like basically at weight. And a car like this, you can get just the body. You can get 30, 40 grand wrapped up into one pretty easily. Just in the purchase, the tin work, the paint, all the fabrication to just get the thing mounted on the car.
Wow.
So there's quite a bit into it. And I'm pretty proud. I do all that stuff myself, because I can't afford to pay somebody. And we're pretty crafty at the shop at home. So we do everything, right down to the paint.
Well, she's a beautiful car, that's for sure. Beautiful and fast.
Well, I want to thank you, Perry, for being with us for so long, providing us with product. There's no doubt that BestLine is, it's saved a few engines of mine for sure. I mean, and there's no doubt about it. I mean, the oil is only so good, but it gets so saturated with the nitro, any type of additive, just isn't going to hold up.
Right.
So BestLine.
Well, that's the thing about what you've got going on with a nitro motor, or a motor that's burning nitro fuel, is that there's so much energy that the fuel gets around the rings.
Oh,
right?
It certainly does.
And down into the oil pan. So we have the fuel dilution issues.
Oh, well, you can drain the fuel and you'll have an extra gallon of oil, and you'll have an extra gallon of liquid. And the oil is like a milkshake. It's just garbage.
Wow. So
having the additive in it, hands down, keeps the lubrication factor, at its peak.
Nice. Well, thank you, Chris. We're going to bother Chris again later, and he's going to talk to you about how he got started in racing as a young guy, I'm guessing,
I started drag racing basically about 19 because I was building hot street cars, getting in trouble, And I'm like, I better go to the drag strip. So
we're looking forward to hearing the rest of that story sometime soon.
That's another chapter. We'll get to that here a little later.
Well, Chris is going to go racing today, and Famosa Raceway in Bakersfield, and he's going to be the madman kicking ass.
All right. Thanks, Perry.
Thank you.